What's up, everyone? So if you watched my last video about giving an engineer an axe, you'll know it was neither here nor there with respect to any sort of useful information. So I'll try to do a little bit better in this video. I needed the axe so I could chop wood so that I could fuel the Solo Stove. And the Solo Stove is a bit of a revelation in bonfire technology, if there were such a thing. My buddy Dennis introduced me to this, and it is absolutely the coolest bonfire I've ever seen. When you get it going well, it's effectively smokeless. The way it's designed, you can kind of see in there. There's an elevated platform that the wood and the fuel effectively for the fire sits in. And then there's also a ring of holes around the entire ledge. And not one to understand physics of fire, but what they claim is that fuel, oxygen, effectively enters through these holes here at the bottom. And because this fire pit is hot, it'll warm the air as it sits in the chamber between these two walls. And the warmer air will come out the top, and it effectively is preheated for a cleaner burn. I can tell you that it works. Don't know how, but it absolutely does work. So let's build a fire here. And the thing about this is you really do need to get this going hot quickly. The first time we bought this and used it, we thought it was defective because it just basically smoked up our whole house. When our buddy Dennis, every time he would light a fire, it would burn perfectly. Turns out he's just really, really good at creating a fire. But ultimately what you need to do is set this up so that it's fueled properly and the fire gets burning quickly. And if you can do that, there will be pretty much no smoke. So I'm going to build a fire, and I'll show you how I build it. And then I'll also show you this cool little tool here that I've got that we found on Amazon. It's called, I don't know what it's called. You can look that up if you want. I think it's like 13 bucks or something. And it's basically an electric fire starter to replace those butane lighters. So you see there's a USB charging port, and it's basically like a plasma arc. Check this out. So you can use that to ignite paper or something to get this fire going. So let's build a fire and I can show you what this looks like. Alright, so I've got the camera pointing at the fire, and the first thing I'm going to do is use some paper and some cardboard from various shipments we've got as kind of the base to hide under the log that I want to use to start. And really the trick is to get the log ignited at the base of it as quickly as you possibly can. So stuff like this will burn really, really easily, really, really quickly. You kind of want that at the very bottom. Then the cardboard layer will burn also very quickly, but just slightly slower and longer than paper. So you put that as kind of the next layer. And then ultimately, so I've got this piece of wood that was the other half of the piece that split earlier. And this one actually does fit kind of like that, which is good. But if you can stand it up a little on one end, that's useful. So I've got a couple extra pieces that split off, and I'll use that as a prop. See if we can get this to work. So you can kind of see how that works. But really I need to get the fire going underneath. And then to the extent that I can add little pieces of tinder that'll burn longer in those right areas, that could help. Probably not showing up too well there, but we got a decent thing going right there. And I think now I'll time lapse it just so you can fast forward to where this really gets going good. Alright, so that was actually more stubborn and difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I think I've got it fairly well lit now. I had to put the log that was a little bit too big for it on the top of it, and that's actually not ideal because when you do that, the design doesn't work quite right, and you get a bit more smoke than you would get if it were all sitting underneath that lip. But you can already kind of start to see it working. So eventually, as this log burns, it'll shrink, it'll fall beneath that lip, and then when this gets going well, you should just see the ring of fire, as it were, as the air kind of comes out of the holes at the top and burns. So it took a little bit of time to get going, but I think we're close now, so you can kind of see how cool this is. I lifted the ring around the top up to let the log fall underneath, and it's not seated perfectly. The log still needs to shrink a bit. But the effect that I was talking about is already starting to happen. You can see there is still just a little bit of smoke coming off, but I think once the log shrinks, falls beneath the top edge of this lip, and I can seat the lip again, that you'll see that you get a crazy flame with very minimal smoke. I think we're approaching peak Solo Stove right here. You can see the flames just emanating from the ring of holes at the top. And I'm standing kind of right next to it, and there is a lot of heat, but very, very little smoke. And last but not least, the cherry on top. So we kind of went crazy when we bought this thing. We got every last bell and whistle, and there's this screen guard for the top for when you want to basically let the fire sit without watching it, so that you're not getting sparks that go and light up your house or your yard. But this also doubles as a grill. So if we put this on top, hey, you want to take your seat? Oh, she gets the big seat, I get the small seat. And we use these sticks, we can basically grill hot dogs. Oh, here. Go ahead. I don't know if we clean these, so I'm going to sanitize it real quick. What are we using? Nathan Skinless?
Yep.
I think this can go for more. Should start a business. Wood grilled hot dogs. They're pretty good. Oh yeah. Can you use yours to
Pull. Sorry.
Oh. You gotta use it in between, that's fine too. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, don't hit my hand. All right, look at that. Gonna say bye?